Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about a watch from Tissot. Any watch fan should be familiar with the name Tissot. It is a company founded in 1853 and I think it needs no introduction at all. So today we're going to take a look at this Tissot Visodate. This is the black dial version, and if you're planning to get one for your own, I suggest that you get the lighter dial version. Some call it white but some call it silver. So you'll see why later down in the video. So before we get into the watch, let's take a look at the very generic box that all Tissot watch came with. So on the outer box there is actually a sleeve. So depending on which model or what time you get the watch, the sleeve will either be showing all the old classic Tissot logo, or you'll be getting another sleeve that will be showing all the old Tissot watch models. So for this, this is a sleeve that shows all the older Tissot model. Okay, so after you remove the sleeve, you get a very generic looking Tissot watch box. Okay, so at the back, it actually looks like, if you put it up, vertically, it actually looks like, a stack of books on a bookshelf. And what's actually interesting about this is that Tissot included in every of their watch catalog and a booklet about their company history. Okay, so this is quite an interesting book. I think I've read it a while back. So yeah, if you have the time, then you can just read. It's quite interesting. And here you will get a catalog. So the catalog will depends again on when you are getting the watch. So depends on which year you're getting it. So the catalog will be most likely always up to date. Okay. And when you open up the box, you will have a watch cushion where your watch will be sitting, if you're buying brand new. And on the top, most people sometimes they will miss this out. There is a sort of like a cloth or a bag, for you to keep your watch. See, I mean, this thing can actually act as a cleaning cloth, and they have the Tissot logo printed as well. Let me just put that back. And on the sides, you have two little pockets. So one is for you to put your manual, and on the other is for you to put your warranty card and I think warranty booklet. Yep. So this is a very typical Tissot watch box. Alright, we'll just get back to the watch in a moment. Alright, we are back with the watch. So why is the watch without the leather band? Let's get into the leather band. So the watch came originally with this Tissot leather. It's a croc pattern leather. I think it's not too bad. They even have the Tissot logo at the back, and it came with butterfly clasp, but there's no push button, so you need to really pull it off. It might take quite some effort for you to pull it out. So why didn't I use this leather on the watch? Because first of all, it tends to be a little squeaky when it's on the watch. I'm not sure why. And another obvious reason is that the number of holes, they're just too little for my small wrist. So even with the last hole, it's still pretty loose on my 6-inch wrist, unless I need to punch several more holes, which I don't intend to do that, because after it goes from the final hole, the leather gets thicker, right? So this is why I don't use the original leather. Alright, so back to the watch. So let's get into the dimension of the watch. The case diameter is 40 millimeters. The thickness is about 12 millimeters, including the dome sapphire crystal. The lug tip to lug tip is about 47 millimeters. The lug width is 20 millimeters. The case of the watch is entirely highly polished from the sides to the top of the lug to the bottom. It has a sign crown. You can see there's a T, and on the top there's a dome sapphire crystal, but unfortunately it is without any AR coating, anti-reflective coating, so that is why it's a bit too reflective and it's kind of hard to see the dial at certain angle. But let's get straight into the watch face itself. The watch face has a very classic and simple design. The dial certainly has a vintage appeal. If the size is a little smaller, it would look like a watch from, I don't know, maybe the 50s or the 60s. And the choice of the old classic Tissot logo is applied is certainly a nice touch from Tissot. I just love how the logo looks. Let me just take the watch box and show you, the old classic Tissot logo. So apparently this logo is used in the 1930s. As you can see, throughout the 1930s, there's some variation of the Tissot logo, but all of them has this classic font design. All the indices are applied and they are highly polished, and the same goes for the Tissot logo. It's highly polished too, and the hour and minute and second hands, they are all highly polished, and there's a nice diamond tip counterbalance on the second hand, and there's automatic printed. The Visodate itself is printed, and as you can see at the bottom at the 6 o'clock position, there is a Swiss made printed. Being called a Visodate, there is a day and date window on this piece. There is a highly polished frame around the window. Well, as usual, my usual complaint is that the day and date wheel is in white color. I do wish that they are in black, as it will match better with the high gloss black dial of the watch. But then again, since this is called a Visodate, I think a white wheel will make it more visible. Let's take a look at the back of the watch. The case back is a snap case back, is not screw down, so you have to pry it up if you want to open the case back, and it's an open case back where you can see the movement inside. As you can see, Tissot did a very nice work in plating the rotor gold and printing the old classic Tissot logo on the rotor. This makes the watch looks much more interesting. Actually, the case back is my most favorite part of this watch because of that gold sign rotor, and there are some gold components, gold plated components inside. Powering the watch is an ETA 2836-2. It's actually another variation of 2824, but with the exception of the additional day wheel. Of course, this movement is the ever reliable workhorse from ETA. It beats at 28,800 beats per hour, and I think for Tissot, what they use is standard ETA, so the accuracy is rated to be around plus minus 12 seconds per day, and it is hand windable. It's hackable, so when I pull out the crown all the way, the second hand stops. It has a power reserve of approximately 38 or 40 hours, and of course it does have a quick day and date setting. If you pull out the crown one by one stop, and it comes with either the numeral day or the standard English day. And if you turn the crown counterclockwise, you can set the date. Okay, the numeral part is certainly a nice touch, because for non-English speakers, it's also quite easy for them to read the day of the week. And I'll try to put on the leather strap and try to do a wrist shot. Alright, this is how the watch looks on my 6-inch wrist. Frankly, it does look a little bit too big for my wrist, especially the long lug to lug. Actually, from the measurement, the lug to lug is not very long, but it's just how the design of the lug makes it look longer, because you can see there's this long and slender design of the lug, so it does give the impression that the watch is much bigger than it is. And also the small bezel makes the watch looks bigger than the regular 40mm watch. Okay, with the wrist shot done, I think it's time to wrap up this video. So to be honest, actually what I love most about this watch is on the case back. You know, the gold plated roto and the gold components and the classic Tissot logo on the roto really makes me like this watch a lot. But not so much on the front, because there is no AR coating on the crystal, so it's sometimes really hard to read the time on this piece, especially when you're at certain reflection, for example at this angle, and due to the highly polished hands, it's quite hard to read the time on the watch. I do hope that, you know, Tissot will actually consider applying some AR coating on their dome crystal watches, because without that it's really quite hard to look at the time. And that comes to the reason why I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you want to get this piece for yourself, I do recommend that you go for the white dial version rather than the black dial, because the white dial, the reflection is not as bad, you know. And on the second thing that I feel that it should be better is that if they could make the size a little bit smaller, maybe in the case size of 38mm, I believe it will look even better, because this is supposed to be like a vintage inspired dress watch. So I believe with the smaller case diameter, it will fit more occasion, or will fit more wrist, you know, rather than huge 40mm, and you know, with the apparent long lug to lug distance. So with that said, I think that's it for this video. So if you're new to this channel, I do suggest that you please subscribe to my channel. It does help me a lot. And don't forget to follow me on my Instagram, gfw_watch, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.